students. Today we are going to learn the ossification. Ossifications means it is the process of the bone formation. The bone formation begins in the intrauterine life. Say for example, in clavicle the bone starts forming about the 5th week of intrauterine life, and in most of the long bones ossification or the bone formation begins in the 8th week of the intrauterine life. Now if we go to the bone formation, the bone is formed by two different methods. That means first the membrane is formed in the fetus, and then I'm saying embryo, not in fetus. In embryo the membrane is first formed, and then on this membrane the bone is laid down. This kind of the bone formation or ossification is called as the intramembranous ossification. Many of the bones in our body, say for example, some of the bones of the vault of the skull, that is the part of the occipital bone, the parietal bone, the frontal bone, they are membranous in origin. So are some other bones, say for example, the mandible is also the partly membranous in origin. But most of the bone in our body, they ossify in the cartilage. What does it mean they ossify in cartilage? It means first in the embryonic life, where the bone has to be formed, that occurs the formation of the hyaline cartilage, and this hyaline cartilage is then gradually replaced by the bone. So first the model of the cartilage is formed, and then it is replaced by the formation of the bone. This kind of the ossification where the bone is formed by the replacing the cartilage is called as the endochondral ossification. So there are two kinds of the bone formation, membranous or intramembranous ossification, and the second kind is the cartilaginous ossification or endochondral ossification. Today we are going to learn the formation of a long bone, which is an example of the endochondral ossification. So I am going to teach you today about the endochondral ossification. Now, most of the bone of our body, they are the cartilaginous bone. That means they develop in the cartilage. Okay, the cartilaginous model is formed. For example, if we see that this is the embryo, okay, with the limbards, then there are the lower limbard. That means wherever the bone has to form, there is the mesenchymal condensation takes place, and mesenchymal condensation or the mesenchymal tissues are a kind of the tissues in the embryonic life. For example, you have learned that there are 3 germinal discs, okay, ectoderm, mesoderm and endoderm. So all the bones in our body, whether they are membranous bone or they are the endochondral bone or cartilaginous bone, they are mesodermal in origin from the middle layer. So this mesoderm ultimately gives rise to the mesenchyme throughout the body in the limbs, and then wherever the bone has to form, say for example in upper limb of an embryo, if the bone has to form here, and if we take an example of the upper limb, okay, see this is the limbard, and say for example here a bone has to form, and see this is a radius bone, say for example in the upper limb. Then there will be the mesenchymal condensation will take place in this area. That means the mesenchymal tissue, they will come very close to each other, and they will ultimately, the cells of mesenchyme, they will change or convert into the cartilaginous cells. That is called as the chondrocytes. So the chondrocytes will be formed from this mesenchymal cell, and these chondrocytes will lay down the fibers, collagen fibers, and the intracellular matrix. So ultimately a cartilaginous model of the radius will form in the future forelimb area of the fetus. Okay, this is over. Then I will take the formation of a long bone. Say for example, if it is radius, how a radius which is at present a cartilaginous model. So what is the age of the fetus by this? I mean say the embryo by this time. It is hardly 8 weeks in the life. Okay, 8 week of intra, hardly. And when the 8 week of intrauterine life will come, then this cartilaginous model, say for this is a cartilaginous model of the radius bone, okay, or you can take for example any other bone. Here this will be forming, this is the hyaline cartilaginous in nature. Okay, so this bone is hyaline cartilaginous. So the model of radius first is a hyaline cartilage. Okay, and this is covered by the membrane called as the perichondrium. That is the fibrous membrane which covers any of the hyaline cartilage. Okay, anywhere in the body, hyaline cartilage except the articular cartilages, they are covered by the perichondrium. And this core of this model is formed by the cartilage, that is the hyaline cartilage. Now if you see a small area from anywhere of this hyaline cartilage and in detail, you will see that there are now the chondrocytes present in the cartilage. These are the chondrocyte cells, and these chondrocyte cells, they are present inside the lacunae. Okay, or spaces. Okay, so these I am drawing the chondrocyte cells which are present in the lacunae. Now with the development and by the time the 8th week of intrauterine life will approach, okay, this chondrocyte will starts becoming large. That means their hypertrophy will take place in these chondrocyte cells. In between these chondrocyte cells and lacunae, there is the presence of the intercellular matrix. That means there is the presence of the bundles of collagen fibers which are embedded inside the ground substance of the cartilage. So this is the structure of the cartilaginous, cartilage, hyaline cartilage. There are the chondrocyte cells which are now becoming increasing in size, and in between these cells, okay, where these are present inside the lacunae, there is an intercellular matrix. An intercellular matrix is formed by two component collagen fibers and the ground substance. Now, because of this hypertrophy and activity of this chondrocyte under the influence of the enzymes, there will be the deposition of the calcium will take place. So this area, okay, intercellular matrix will become calcified, okay, especially in the middle part of a long bone. Say for example, we are dealing with the radius bone. In the middle part of this small model of the cartilage, all this intercellular matrix will become cartilaginous, and so it will become calcified. Okay. Because of the calcification due to the enzyme secreted by this chondrocyte, what will happen that whatsoever nutrition was going to this chondrocyte, and nutrition was going from where? It was going from the perichondrium. The perichondrium is highly vascular and it is made up of two layers, outer fibrous and inner cellular, and it is rich in the blood vessels. So because of the diffusion of the nutrients and oxygen, these cells were getting their nutrition and oxygen, but because of the calcification in the middle part of the shaft or the body of this chondrocyte bone, okay, or not bone, it is cartilage, hyaline cartilaginous model, these cells will die because they are not getting the oxygen and they are not getting the this nutrition. So this chondrocyte will die ultimately, leaving here the large spaces here of the lacunae. So these are the spaces of the lacunae. Now what will happen that this is happening in this part of the cartilaginous model, in the hyaline cartilage. Okay. Now, second thing which will happen is, okay, in the second step of the ossification, which will happen that the blood vessels from this chondrocyte will grow and it will come to this area. These blood vessels will come to this area, and these blood vessels, they are coming from perichondrium. They will grow and will come to this. And along with them, they will bring some of the cells, those which are the cells present in the cellular layer of the perichondrium, deep to the fibrous layer of perichondrium, and these cells are highly potential cells. That means they have the capability to form the various kind of cells. And these cells are called as osteoprogenitor cells. And these osteoprogenitor cells will come along with these growing blood vessels. So, along with the growing blood vessels and the cells which are capable to form the bone, okay, osteoprogenitor cell, this will invade those calcified area of the cartilage, which have the cavities of lacunae, which are called as primary areolae. Primary areolae. Now, once this blood vessel, which is growing along with the cells brought from the perichondrium, this is called as the periosteal bud. This is called as periosteal bud. These cells, which are the osteoprogenitor cell, they will reach inside the cavities of the lacunae and will start eating away some of these areas of this cartilage, okay? I mean, say this calcified matrix, intercellular. And because of this, some of the areas of this will become large. So these cavities will become large cavities, okay? And then this cavity, which are the large cavities, they are now called as the secondary areolae, okay, or the large cavity. Simply you remember that it is now called as the large cavity. Now on this large cavity, now these are the area of the calcified cartilage which was calcified. So on these spicules of this calcified cartilage, then there will be the arrangement of the cell will take place, and these cells which will arrange, which have come through this bud, okay, the periosteal bud, they are large basophilic cell, and they are large basophilic cell means their cytoplasm stands blue with the hematoxylin and eosine, and these are now called as the osteoblasts. So these osteoblasts are the bone forming cell. They will arrange in row onto this streak of the calcified cartilage, okay, on this calcified, and they will start forming the bone. Let us see very quickly how they will form the bone. Now suppose this is a streak which is calcified streak in the center of the developing radius, and then these are the cells which are the osteoblast cells which will form here, okay, and will arrange in the row. They are basophilic because they contain lot of the rough endoplasmic reticulum, ribosomes, okay, rough endoplasm, attach ribosome onto the, and that's why it looks basophilic. Now these osteoblast cells, they will start secreting the collagen bundle, so onto the surface of this streak, okay, and this collagen bundle will be laid down here. Say for example, these are the bundles of collagen, and soon these collagen bundles will be, on this will be secreted the ground substance. So there will be the ground substance, and collagen bundles are secreted onto the surface of this calcified streak or trabeculae or plate, okay, and these cells then will move to the osteocytes, will move to the further outward, okay, away from these calcified streaks, okay, and this layer which has formed here, it is called as osteoid or just the primary bony tissue, okay, immature bony tissue. Now under the influence of the alkaline phosphate, this row of the osteoblast which is present here, okay, these are the osteoblast cells, they will start secreting the calcium, okay, So the calcium, so they will not start, they will secrete the alkaline phosphatase, and under the influence of the alkaline phosphatase, there will be the deposition of the calcium will take place. Say for example, this calcium deposition has taken place. So this is how one layer of the bone is formed. Now then, this osteoblast will move further, okay, it will move further away from this first layer of bone, which is called as lamellus now, bony lamellus, and this osteoblast will migrate here and will do the same thing of secretion of the collagen bundles on which the ground substances they are deposited, and this is the second osteoid will form, and then the calcium deposition will take place and this will become calcified. But note that this osteoblast which are moving away from here, some of them may be trapped between these two layers of the bone formation. So there will be some osteoblast just trapped here and they are present inside the lacunae. Okay, those osteoblasts, say for example, which are lazy in moving outward, they will be trapped between now the two layers of the bone. Okay, two layers of the bone or lamellae of the bone. And these cells which are trapped here between first layer and second layer, they are called as osteocyte. They will be resting bone cell now. And these are osteoblasts which are active bone forming cell. So in this way, layer after layer, the bone will form, okay, on the surface of this calcified spicules trabeculae, okay, or a plate, and in this way, so many, okay, I'm to say bony trabecules will form, which are in the form of the spongy bone in the center. Now, this formation of the bone within this, okay, in the middle part of this spongy bone thus will ultimately form. This is then called as the primary center of ossification, because the bone formation is started. Okay, this is the primary center of ossification. Now, this primary center of the ossification will keep on forming the bone in the upward as well as in downward direction of the cartilaginous model. But while this primary center is forming, the bone here onto the calcium streaks or the spicules, and this bone formation is the formation of the bone that is after the replacement of the cartilage. So see, this cartilage is not converting in the bone. First the cartilaginous cells, they are dying, and on this area the new bone formation is taking place, replacing the cartilage which was present previously. So this is how the bony formation which will take place in this primary center. This is called as endochondral ossification, because it is due to the replacement of the bone. Okay, it is due to the replacement of the cartilage, not bone. So bone is replacing to the cartilage. Now, while this primary center is forming the bone, at the same time, and another type of the bone formation will take place just beneath the perichondrium. Okay, there will be the formation of the bone from the cells, second layer of the perichondrium, which is cellular. These cells of the perichondrium will become osteogenic. That means they will form the osteoblast cell, and this osteoblast will start depositing the bone deep to the perichondrium. Okay, they will start deep to the perichondrium. Now, so this bone will form just in the area where primary center is forming the bone. But since this bone which is formed deep to the perichondrium is formed through the perichondrium, which is a membrane. So this bone is called as, it is formed by the method of the intramembranous ossification. So this bone is the intramembranous ossification. So the bone which is forming through the primary center in the middle of the model of the cartilage, okay, is the endochondral ossification, and the bone which is forming deep to the perichondrium here is through the intramembranous ossification. Now this bone, imagine that it is forming all around the circumference of this cartilaginous model in this area, and this is called as the collar, okay, the collar of the bone which is formed here, okay? The periosteal collar, okay, or the collar bone is formed here, the compact bone which is formed here, and this kind of formation will go on increasing in the upper direction as well as towards the lower end of the bone. So this bone which is forming here, it will keep on forming like that. Similarly, in this also, there will be the formation of the, by the endochondral ossification, the spongy bone will keep on forming towards the upper end and towards the lower end. So, this bone which is now the compact bone, the periosteal collar. This is a compact bone deep to the perichondrium, and now this perichondrium which was the membrane covering to that of the cartilage is no longer called as perichondrium. This is now called as periosteum because it is now covering to the bone formed by the primary center which is spongy, and bone formed by the membranous ossification deep to the perichondrium, okay, which is a compact bone, okay, which is a compact bone. Now, this kind of the ossification will keep on, will be gradually taking place within the fetus, okay. Now it is fetus and it will be taking place within the fetus. Now, the birth will take place. The baby is born now. And when a baby is born, at that time, this is the condition of the bony ossification, bone formation, okay. That means if you will take an X-ray of a newborn baby, which is not taken just for example, then only the central part of the cartilaginous model will be bony, that is white patch will be seen. The ends are still cartilaginous, hence it will not be seen in the X-ray. Let us see what will happen after the birth. Now, after the birth, what will happen? This the central spongy bone which was present here due to the formation of the primary center, here it will start breaking down, and then because of the breakage of this spongy bone which was formed by the primary center, it is now a cavity will result, okay, and this cavity is called as marrow cavity. So this is marrow cavity, and this marrow cavity is now surrounded by this compact bone, okay. This was the periosteal collar, okay, this compact bone formed by the perichondrium, okay, by the perichondrium. So now it is the marrow cavity surrounded by the compact bone of the shaft, okay, of this model, okay, this. Now, what will happen after birth? With the various time, there will be the appearance of the other center in this cartilaginous end. Now, while this is cartilaginous, there is the growth is always taking place in the cartilaginous model in both the direction because of the repeated cell division in chondrocytes, and a new cartilage is always forming at the upper end as well as that of the lower end. So this cartilage is formed, right? So that way, in this way, there is, because of the growth of the cartilage, always the growth is in the length is taking place, okay. Now, afterwards, say for example, after 1 or 2 years of age, there will appear a center of another center of ossification. In similar way, the periosteal collar will go, the calcification, the primary areolae and secondary areolae will take place, and a center of the ossification will appear and in the cartilage, okay, here. This is the, since it is a new center for formation of the bone after replacement of the cartilage at the ends, this is called as secondary center of ossification. That was primary, Now at the ends it is the secondary center of the ossification. And this secondary center ossification will also form the spongy bone, and this spongy bone will keep on increasing in size, and this spongy bone which is formed at the end because of the secondary center, this will be called as epiphysis. Okay, this is called as epiphysis. So after some time there will be in the similar way and another secondary center will appear at the opposite end. Say for example it is in the third or the fourth year. This will also form the epiphyseal bone, the spongy bone at the end by the formation of endochondral formation. Okay, endochondral ossification or cartilaginous ossification, where cartilage is gradually replaced by. So this end is also called as the epiphysis. So this is also called as. Now the epiphysis will form a bone except at the surface where it will be still cartilaginous. This is not converted into bone. This is still the cartilaginous which was there already. And this cartilaginous structure will form the articular cartilage. Okay, it will form and it will remain cartilaginous throughout the life, and it will be called as articular. Now, so after birth, say after 5 years of age, if you will see a bone, long bone or say radius, there will be the bone formation of the shaft. So this is shaft which is developing from primary center, and these are end which are developing from the secondary center. Okay, and this bone at the end is spongy, and it is called as the epiphysis. Okay, epiphyseal bone or epiphysis. Now, in between the epiphysis and this bone formed by the secondary center, which is now called as the diaphysis. So bone formed by the primary center is diaphysis, and the bone formed by the secondary center is the epiphysis. Still there will remain a plate of the original finite cartilage which was present, and this is called as the epiphyseal cartilage. This is called as epiphyseal cartilaginous plate. Cartilaginous plate. And this epiphyseal cartilaginous plate plays an important role in the growth of the bone in longitudinal section. Okay, so you have seen that there the shaft of the bone is formed by the primary center of ossification which appears in embryo. Say for example in 8th week of intrauterine life, after birth, then the ends are still cartilaginous, and there appear the secondary center of ossification, and this will form the spongy bone at the ends which are called as the epiphysis, and the bone formed by the primary center is called as the diaphysis. In between the epiphysis and diaphysis, still there is a presence of cartilaginous intervening cartilage, and between the two types of bone here, epiphysis and diaphysis, and this cartilage plate is the site for the growth in both the direction. Okay, the bone will grow in proximal and the distal direction in length because of the growth in the epiphyseal cartilage. And this will also grow in the circumference because gradually the new bone is let down deep to the periosteum. Now it is called as periosteum because this is the membrane is periosteum, and at the same time this spongy bone will be removed from here. Okay, and then some new bone will be, the bone which was towards the medullary cavity will be removed, and on the surface the new bone will be. That way it will grow in the circumference. So length is by the epiphyseal cartilage and circumference is by the deposition of the periosteal bone deep to the periosteum and the gradual removal of the bone from the marrow cavity surface. Okay, this is the development of a cell. By this time the child is say about he has come to the teenage, 14 or 15, 16 years of age, and then this epiphyseal plates at both ends are still growing. Now I will tell you about what are the features of a developing bone in a child. Okay, so I will draw a separate diagram where I will again tell you what are the features of a developing bone here. Let us see here a bone which is we have taken from the child, say of 8 or 9 years of age. Okay, so what you will see, there is a bone. This is the compact bone which has developed from which has developed from the intramembranous ossification. This is the end of a bone. This is another end of the bone. Okay, and this end of the bone is also spongy, which has developed from the secondary center of ossification, except a layer which is cartilaginous. Okay, and this is the articular cartilage. Similarly, it will be articular cartilage will be here. This is the epiphyseal bone at the lower end. Okay, so this is again a spongy bone at the lower end, and then intervening the plate called as the epiphyseal plate, which is still cartilaginous. So this is epiphyseal plate. Now, this is covered by the perichondrium. The bone is, except the articular cartilage, the whole of this bone is covered by the perichondrium, right? So this is the bone of from a developing bone from a child. Okay, it is a developing bone from a child. Now let us see what are the layers in the epiphyseal cartilage. Very briefly, if I will see you the layers in the cartilages, this is the layer which is towards the epiphyseal bone. There will be the chondrocytes, which are the resting chondrocytes. So this is the zone of the resting cartilage or chondrocyte. Then the cells will become large. Okay, and this is the cell of the proliferating zone of the cartilage. The second layer is the cells will become large in the lacunae, and these are the large kind. So they will divide very fast, mitotic division, they will become large. Okay, this is called as the cells of the zone of proliferation of cartilage. And then the cells will become still large. Okay, this is the hypertrophic cells, and they will arrange themselves into rows, and in between the rows there is the intercellular matrix, that is the collagen fibers, and the ground substance is there. And because of the hypertrophy and the secretion of the enzymes, this intercellular matrix will start becoming calcified. So now there will be the zone of the calcified cartilage, and the cells in the center will die. So the cavities will be seen. Okay, and these are the primary areolae, and in this way there will be the streak of calcified cartilage will be seen. So this is the zone of the calcified cartilage. So what were the zones? The area which was facing to that of the spongy bone was the area of the resting cartilage or resting chondrocyte. Then where it is very rapidly multiplying and proliferating, so zone of proliferation, and this is the zone of the hypertrophy where cell will increase in the size, and they will start secreting the enzyme alkaline phosphatase, so that there will be the deposition of the calcium in the intercellular matrix, so that these cells which are present in the lacunae, they will die. Okay, so this is the zone of the calcified cartilage. Okay, calcium, and in these spicules again the bone formation will take place, and this bone formation takes place
at the diaphyseal surface of this epiphyseal cartilage. And where the active bone formation is taking place here, and active bone is forming here, it is first the spongy bone, and this site where active bone is forming, this end of the diaphysis is called as metaphysis. So what is the metaphysis zone? Is a growing bone. This is the site where the active bone is forming after replacing the calcified cartilage. And this area is called as diaphysis. So what is metaphysis? It is nothing but the part of the diaphysis which is facing towards the epiphyseal cartilage, okay, and where the active growth is taking place. Now the bone which is at the ends, it is called as the epiphysis. This is called as epiphysis, bone formed by the secondary center. So this is epiphysis, right? Okay, so bone is growing at both ends because of the multiplication of the chondrocytes in the zone of proliferation, and on the other side it is being replaced by bone. And this is the marrow cavity. The ends of this marrow cavity will be the little of the spongy bone will be present here. So these are the various, I mean to say, structures. This is the structure of a developing bone. If you take a long bone from a child of 8 to 10 years, okay, or even more, 12 to 13 years, these are the structure will be seen. That means if you will take an X-ray of a developing bone from child, this area of the diaphysis will be calcified area, which will represent sac, and two ends will also show the two calcified patches here. In between there will be gap, and the gap is represented by the hyaline cartilage, because cartilage doesn't cause any cell. So these are the epiphyseal plate. I hope that this is the ossification till the childhood is achieved, and then when the bone has completely formed by length and the diameter itself, it has reached to the adulthood, then the hypertrophy and the multiplication of cartilage will cease here, and cartilage will stop growing. And in that case, this from metaphyseal side, this cartilage will be completely replaced by the bone. And then there will be the junction will take place between epiphyseal and that of the metaphyseal bone, or diaphysis and epiphysis. There will be, this line is called as the epiphyseal line, and this is present in adult bone, and this represents the site for the fusion between epiphysis and the diaphysis. Then this will take place at one end first, and then this will take place at the other end, and we have learned the significance of this epiphyseal line because it represents the fusion between diaphysis and epiphysis, and once this line is there and fusion has taken place, there will be no growth in the bone, okay. Similarly, a very little growth or no growth will take place deep to the periosteum once the adulthood is achieved. Now, how a bone determines that this has reached to the maximum length or it has fully developed? Well, this is determined by the genes of a person, which are also influenced by the environmental factors, say for example the climatic condition and the diet of an individual. This completes the endochondral ossification.